All right, committee. Well, I will call the Lewiston Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for 5:30 on April 9th to order. All right, so did the call to order. So citizens' comments, item number 2 on the agenda. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the commission with any comments, questions, concerns about anything planning and zoning related that is not related to a public hearing on this agenda. I don't see anybody in the audience, anything called, mailed, email, no. All right, well, that makes that easy. So for our active agenda, number 3, we have the approval of our March 26, 2025 meeting minutes. Everybody get a chance to look at those? Looked good to me.
It's been left out. I would make a motion to approve.
I will second. I'll let Maureen second that. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I will abstain because I wasn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, that takes us to item B under number 3 under our active agenda. So public hearing for zoning code amendment ZA-01-25 landscaping code. So I'll just go ahead and explain the public hearing process for anybody who's watching this lively meeting. So I've announced the subject of the public hearing. We will open the public hearing, or I will open the public hearing. We'll hear staff presentation, staff testimony. We will listen or hear about any testimony from the public. We'll ask questions of staff or on any public testimony, and then we'll close the public hearing and we will deliberate and articulate our reasons for the proposed recommendation. And this does not have the relevant criterion standards. It's just simple up or down vote. But we will have relevant reasons for Jennifer so that they can be documented.
Detailed, relevant.
Detailed relevant.
Yes, detailed relevant criterion standards. So with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. All right, you're up, Joel.
All right.
Tim, you're up.
This is a zoning code amendment that's coming to you by way of the Comprehensive Plan Work Plan Committee. And it's mostly just a cleanup. It's nothing really major. I wasn't going to go through the changes one by one, but I can if you want me to. Basically, the amendment's very in nature. I'll just read it off the description of the public hearing notice. Adding clarification to the current parking lot landscape purpose and requirements. Adding consistency between code section provisions. Changing required landscape planter widths. Adding provisions for maintenance. And omitting unnecessary and redundant provisions. You guys have a chance to read them? Want me to go through them one by one, or do you have questions, or do you want to?
I would like to know the redundancies. I was very engaged today and did not get to the.
Good. So. First one appears. Well, on page 3 of the draft ordinance, I'm not sure what page 7 of the packet. There are requirements for landscaping buffers in different zones. And keep in mind, this is the parking lot section of the code. But they don't need to be here because they already exist in the zones themselves. So it's just a duplication. It's just basically a cleanup.
Okay.
To get them out of 2 places in the code. So if we amend them in one place, we don't have to remember to change them in the other place. Let's see here.
Isn't it just repetitive on page 4 of the, which is in our packet, same thing, talking about the zone?
Yes, thank you. Yep. Yeah, that was another
We
repetition.
just had like 3 or 4 references to
Yep,
the zones.
yep, same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we move to recommend approval of ZA.
Well, before we do that, are there any
Oh,
questions?
that's right,
from
we
the-
have to
yep.
get out of the.
Yep. Are there any questions from commissioners for Joel? Or any other questions, excuse me?
I don't have anything now.
No? Dawn, do we have any public testimony? Because I know we don't have anybody in the audience, so.
I'll just mention if I may.
Sure.
For the record, we also called in, we had a member of the Urban Forestry Commission
Yeah.
on for this, as well as 2 local landscape contractors. Helped us do this, so.
And a lot of the information that we looked at changing was directly related to not only their experience and knowledge, but of course with the urban forestry, getting their input on, you know, what they recommend for plants that are, and what they needed for proper growing space and things like that. Okay, so.
And they're revising, I think they're revising their manual or guide on their end, which is unrelated to planning and zoning, but they are also going to tailor that to what's in here, so they're cohesive.
And they're also going to be downsizing the number of options for trees and things like
Yes,
that
yeah.
that are going to be in. So that what they're looking at doing is making sure that they're mitigating like trees that are outgrowing the space that they're being planted in.
Which of course would be very relevant to
Yeah.
lot size.
Yes, yeah.
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 So, you know, I think for the folks that are doing it, especially, I mean, hearing from the landscapers, you know, they obviously want plants to do well and to thrive and everything
Yeah.
else in those spaces. But none of them had any issues with
No.
the sizing and everything else. Actually felt that we were more reasonable than some of our regional partners.
That's-
I think we got excellent information and feedback from them.
Yeah, I agree.
Another thing I'll point out is it makes it easier for the landscape installers too, as well as the property, because it removes a requirement for a bond, a performance bond, and just simplifies it to where they just give us a written commitment. But not have to go through that bond process.
Yeah.
So the bond process would be guaranteeing that they will meet those criteria
Yeah.
at the time of what, habitation.
Occupancy.
Thank you, yes.
And, Joel, is there, who makes sure that promise is met?
Whoever the planner was that did the plan review on the permit application.
So before occupancy or?
That's what it's-
Well,
It says.
yeah, so the written commitment isn't required for getting the landscaping done in time for occupancy. That's a standard.
Okay.
They only need the written commitment. Currently in the code, they need the bond. If they want to delay that landscape installation beyond occupancy.
So
Not
for
until
seasonal
after.
reasons,
Seasonal,
Yeah.
yeah.
availability,
Yeah. big bulk.
Yeah, not
Seasonal.
planting grass in December.
Yeah, for some reason hydro seeding. Just
and so then there's that follow-up, there's a specific time.
Yep, the
Okay,
written
on-
commitment, yep, includes a date certain. And then they have to call in for an inspection and we go out and verify it.
It sounds like it's streamlining it.
Yeah, it does. It speeds up the process for them when they want to try to get occupancy.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Any last minute questions, commissioners, before we close public hearing? All right, hold your peace. Public hearing is closed. All right, so we will now deliberate. We don't have specific relevant criteria and standards. So the deliberation can be a little bit more free flowing, but make sure there are some reasons. I mean, from my perspective, the biggest is just eliminating the duplication in code.
absolutely.
And then also just the cohesion between this and what the Urban Forestry Commission is doing with, I forgot what it's called, like their tree manual. I know,
selection guide.
thank you, the
Yeah.
tree selection guide.
Yeah.
So that their tree selection guide and the trees that they select for certain areas will coincide with these revisions. So
I'd
just a
also add
simplification.
that by removing the redundancies and everything else, it also, I think in the thought process of streamlining, it also prevents potential errors in the future where, you know, if we don't realize that we have to change it in all those different locations, if something gets missed, we don't have to worry about it because it is already addressed in other sections of the code.
And I believe in the comprehensive plan, we have talked about removing obstacles for developments. And to me, the redundancies aside, which we're doing across the comprehensive plan or the codes as I understand it already, this bond requirement does in fact seem to make it a clear pathway without stumbling blocks. It's the difficulties in developing and the restrictions, we've heard plenty of it in the last few meetings that prohibits a desire to develop properties by contractors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is yet another gimme, I think, on their side of the boards.
Another benefit to one of the amendments is, it's gonna, help with code enforcement. Because one of the primary intents of the landscape requirements is to provide shade of the asphalt and reduce the, heat island effect. So, but you see like, certain auto dealer in town tops their trees regularly, which means it kills the shade aspect.
Yeah.
And then, so we have to go back out and say, you can't do that. You know, you killed your shade factor, but they say, well, where in the code does it say I can't do it? This is added it in there. where
Number
they can't
three,
top
Yeah.
trees.
number three,
Yeah.
it says it right there.
Yeah.
And I understand trees and what they can do, birds in the trees and cars under the trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I get that, but yeah, the heat factor, I mean, that's the whole point is.
Concrete jungle, you have to have some mitigation.
Yes. We have enough concrete jungles.
Yes,
in-
we do.
In town at this point that are not shaded, I might add. Anything else, commissioners?
So can I make the motion
You
now?
you can make the motion. I believe we have given Jennifer enough, so.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to recommend approval of ZA one 25 to the city council.
And I will second that motion. All right, it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor to send zoning code amendment ZA one 25 landscaping code to the city council with a motion to approve or recommendation of approval, excuse me. All say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? All right, motion carries. All right, commission, that moves us into item C of our active agenda, which is consideration of zoning code amendment initiation for tiny houses. So Joel, I'll let you take it away again and just provide background and context for us.
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of discussion about tiny houses in the city in recent years. So this is to address that market and the desire by residents in town to have tiny homes. They're not currently prohibited. But the idea behind this proposal is to establish standards specific for them, mostly in terms of lot size. Because one of the greatest costs in housing is the land cost. And the more the land, you know, the higher your minimum lot size, the higher the cost to put a house on it. So this draft that we're asking you to initiate a code amendment on, which if you do, will be followed by public hearings before yourselves and city council, seeks to explicitly recognize tiny homes in the code as being allowed. Right now, it does exclude them from the definition of single-family dwelling. I forgot about that part. And the reason that was done, because that was done at the time accessory apartments were being put into the code. So that's why that was added to the definition single family dwelling, was it to exclude a tiny house? But it didn't define what a tiny house was. This includes provisions to tie into the building code. Because the building code as adopted in the state of Idaho and the city of Lewiston has specific requirements and allowances for tiny homes, including a definition, and that they have to be placed on a foundation. If not, they're regulated by ITD as a recreational vehicle.
Oh, okay.
I do have a question. Is there a pitch requirement on a tiny?
No.
home?
No.
So there's currently nothing in city code related to tiny homes right now?
Zero.
Zero.
Nothing
Okay.
explicitly recognizing them, yeah.
Okay,
So this makes it very clear that they're allowed and puts in, at least not that I'm aware of, and puts in lot sizes specific to them.
sorry, Jen, go Courtney.
Then I would say there is a provision, but it's tiny home villages.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not
So,
individual
lots.
tiny home lots.
Yeah, right.
So if someone has a primary residence and a lot, I know that within code, if they're constructing a secondary building that's under 200 square feet, they don't need a permit. They do need a no? Okay,
That's,
So-
that's accessory building,
accessory
not an
building,
accessory apartment.
yes,
Yeah, correct.
accessory building.
No
But
no permit.
if the accessory building is in fact an income-related tiny home on a foundation, because it's not in its own lot, it's not considered a single-family residence. I'm confused, because I do know that we have people building on their existing
So if it was
lots.
gonna be put on a lot that already has a house on it,
Mhm.
it could a property owner could do that and, we would call it an accessory apartment.
Okay.
To the primary residence.
That's the designation,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
so as long as there is a primary residence already.
Yep.
And this is an accessory building.
Right,
Okay,
So to separate that from an ADU or an accessory dwelling, this would have to be, a tiny house would have to be on its own lot. Its
It
own
doesn't have to
defined
be.
lot.
It's just
Okay.
another option for people.
Okay.
speaking of ADU, did anybody watch Jeopardy the other night?
No.
Yes.
It was a question.
Oh.
oh, did you- and you got the answer.
What is an ADU?
Yes.
Or- Oh, okay.
Made me think of all of you.
Planning and zoning got an unofficial shout out on Jeopardy, so.
That's okay.
Then it has to, okay, so tiny homes now we have included or are attempting to include that a tiny home could be constructed and considered an individual family dwelling.
Yes. And it doesn't require the small lot size. You would still have the ability to put it on a larger lot if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Go by my half
But the
acre.
incentive, if you really want to make it more affordable, is to give the allowance, the opportunity, the option to have this, the very small lot size.
Mhm.
Because it's
That
what,
makes sense.
2,600, right, is what
I
we,
think that's where I landed.
I think that's where we
Yeah.
landed, yeah.
Yeah, minimum lot
2,600.
area. And then the size is 40 feet by 65 for the actual. Yeah, for the actual house.
You can almost fit 4 of those.
Did you like people that much?
Oh, no,
Oh, okay.
oh, no,
I,
no.
okay.
I'm just thinking lot size, I'm just like, when you talk about affordable housing, because there's a company called Bunky Life
Oh, I've seen, yeah.
that does the Lego style ones that are just cooler than cool. And they're like 10 grand.
Well, and I think more companies nationally, and I don't know if this is gonna continue to be a trend, but they are now creating homes that kind of fold out,
Yeah.
stabilize.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the old Sears catalog
Yeah.
homes, I
Yeah.
think they're working towards the
Yeah,
new modern version of
the
that.
Buildable.
And
buildable.
usually they're put on foundations and all the same
Yeah.
expectations.
They're
So I
already,
think making room for that in code makes a lot of sense.
yeah, they're already plumbed in the whole 9 yards.
And now I'm following some of these same sites and I know that, you know, these, not the cabins, but the pre-built sheds. And pre-built sheds can come up upwards of 50 or 40 feet long.
Yeah.
And now they are actually there is marketing companies
Yep.
out there. that are
Insulating and-
building the whole shebang. It's gonna have the plumbing, it's a home.
Yeah.
And they'll deliver it just like the
Well, there's a
shed.
company out of
Yeah,
North,
that's what I'm.
there's a company out of Northern Washington that build the Amish style cabins and they're like 400 square feet or something like that, and they'll deliver them and set them up on your property in the whole 9 yards, and it's like 35,000.
Which is extraordinarily affordable if
Yeah.
somebody's got a lot big enough
Yeah.
to expand for family purposes, yeah.
Cheaper than a pickup truck.
It is.
You could buy
It is.
two
You're
for what a
right.
pickup truck
It
is.
is, right.
Yeah. So I like that. I like the fact that we are now getting,
That's affordable
That's
housing.
actual
Yeah.
affordability.
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could swing that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could too, actually.
My daughter could, yeah.
Do we want to make a motion?
I would make a
Yeah.
motion to begin the process of amending code to include the definitions, considerations for tiny homes.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second
Well-
that one.
So the motion was to recommend approvals to the amendment of the definitions. But there's several sections that were proposed for amendment.
So
Oh,
okay, let me point one other thing out. There is, at the bottom of page 2 of the draft, a different section of code. It's chapter 23 of city code. That's not the zoning code. That's the mobile home park and RV park.
No.
oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
And that's not something that has to go to planning and zoning commission. It's not in chapter 37, it's in chapter 23. But I wanted to clean it up at the same time. It's somewhat related, but the reason for it is I noticed that the definition of an RV in state code changed, and this is to match that now. So I
This
just
one
want-
makes it open-ended though, so that however the state redefines it,
Correct.
this
So we
automatically,
don't have to change it
we
again.
automatically redefined
Yep.
per the state definition.
Yeah, you caught that. So what I'm asking for, if you find it appropriate, is to initiate, to make a motion to initiate code amendment relative to tiny homes. And
Yeah.
then I'll bring this back to you, or if you want to make changes to this, whatever I bring back to you for public hearing, it'll just start that process.
Do we technically need to make a motion for 2 amendments?
Well,
Chapter 23 doesn't need one, right?
what you could do is we could have, I didn't write that down. Cindy and Maureen withdraw their motions and then just restate the motion to make a motion to initiate zoning code amendments related to tiny homes. And then have that be your proposed.
So just section 37-126.
No, just zoning code amendments related to tiny homes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Not-
So I will
not-
withdraw my motion.
But it's tiny homes and recreational vehicles though.
You could do both of them.
Well, the recreational vehicles is not within the zoning code. That's a
It's just the
separate,
definitions.
that's a different one.
Yeah, we don't need to have a hearing on
Okay.
that. I just wanted to, I don't know. I
It's just
could-
included for,
Posterity.
not conservation of resources and
Yeah.
avoid the duplication of efforts.
There you
Yes.
go.
Legally,
So
it's
two separate ordinances and two separate actions. We're just gonna, the idea is to run them concurrently, even though technically the RV park definition change doesn't have to have a hearing or require an initiation.
So I would like to make a motion to approve moving forward the code amendments,
To initiate,
to initiate code amendments, where are we at? Zoning code, section 37-126, and, nope, damn it,
Sorry.
I'm trying, somebody else do this.
Related to tiny homes.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to initiate zoning code amendments related to tiny homes.
There you go.
And I will second that.
All right. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Commission, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Ayes have it. All right, that takes care of our active agenda. So number 4 is staff commission communications. Is everybody planning on being here on the 23rd?
I believe so.
Before you go, Father, checking your calendars, I just thought I'd mention, we don't have anything scheduled for you for that meeting.
Good.
So unless you have some burning topic that you want us to address on that date, we can cancel the meeting if you're okay with that.
Yeah, if there's
I'm
nothing
good
on
with
the
mine.
agenda, yeah, if there's nothing on the agenda,
All right, we can do that now.
you have to.
Do you need to make a
try
motion?
No.
Is that consensus?
Yeah.
All right,
So we'll see you in May.
All right, well, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Wow, April's an easy month.